Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary Japanese swordsman, is often associated with mastery and self-discipline. But unlike what many believe, his life wasn't defined by rigid rules he bluntly imposed on himself. It was about adapting to whatever came his way. For Musashi, discipline meant staying true to himself, knowing when to push forward and when to adjust his approach. For many of us, discipline means to push ourselves to the limit and sticking to routines because we've been told that's how to achieve success. But this approach often backfires, leaving us frustrated when the results don't come. So with that in mind, in this video, we'll explore Musashi's teachings and how they can help us build self-discipline that actually works. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. When we first hear this quote, it might seem counterintuitive. After all, aren't we constantly told to believe in ourselves, to build self-confidence, and to assert our worth? But Musashi isn't suggesting we diminish our worth. He wants us to strip away the noise, the expectations and social pressure, the constant urge to present ourselves to the world in a certain way. When we think lightly of ourselves, we're not undermining our value. We're shedding the heavy weight of our ego we often carry by trying to impress others or live up to some idealized version of who we think we should be. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that we need to land that big job, earn more money, or achieve something monumental to prove our worth to ourselves and to those around us. So we push ourselves to the limit, driven by our desire to fulfill an image we've created or that society has imposed on us. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with these ambitions, we have to ask ourselves, are these truly what we want, or are we just trying to satisfy this image of success that we've been conditioned to pursue? When discipline is driven by external pressures rather than our true desires, it can lead to short-term gains but long-term dissatisfaction. The relentless push to achieve can wear us down, causing stress and ultimately a sense of emptiness when we realize that the goals we've been striving for don't truly fulfill us. In the end, this kind of discipline, while effective in the short run, can lead to harm and disappointment as we lose sight of what genuinely matters to us. In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close, and to take a distanced view of close things. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that as long as we stick to our routines and maintain discipline, we're on the right path. Usually we dive into our daily tasks, crossing off items on our to-do lists, thinking that this consistent action will inevitably lead to success. However, there's a critical distinction between just being busy and true productivity. Taking action without a clear direction is just busyness. But Musashi is reminding us that discipline is not following a routine for its own sake, but it's keeping our eyes on the bigger picture while also being mindful of the small, everyday steps that lead us there. Musashi wants us to understand that discipline is a means to an end, not the end itself. We're not practicing discipline just to say we're disciplined. We're doing it to achieve a specific goal. And while it's crucial to keep that goal in sight, it's just as important not to overlook the small, seemingly mundane tasks that make up our daily efforts. These tasks are the building blocks of our success. But if we focus solely on the distant goal, we might lose track of these essential steps, and without them, the goal remains out of reach. And that's why true discipline requires a balance. Seeing the distant goal as if it were close, so it stays within our focus, and viewing the small, daily tasks with the importance they deserve, so we don't underestimate their value. Do nothing that is of no use. These days, everywhere you look, there's advice on how to become your best self. Things like, do that workout, start your day with cold showers, meditate, do yoga, the list never ends. It's easy to think that doing all these things will make us a superhuman. However, this scattered approach rarely brings us closer to our true goals. Musashi's approach to discipline is much more precise. He knew that adding more tasks doesn't guarantee better results. His discipline was about focusing on what truly helps us achieve our goal. Everything else is just noise, a distraction that must be removed. When Musashi says, "Do nothing that is of no use," he's telling us to clear away the clutter, to recognize that not all actions are productive. Filling our days with activities that don't directly contribute to our goals might seem like discipline, but in reality, it's just a detour, a way to spend energy without making real progress. Efficient discipline means understanding what's essential and cutting out the rest. It's about focusing on the actions that genuinely move you toward your destination and letting go of everything else. Musashi teaches that effective discipline isn't about doing more, it's about doing what truly matters. You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. Musashi reminds us that true discipline shouldn't be a grind, or mindlessly sticking to the same routine, especially when it stops yielding results. Sometimes, we fall into the trap of repeating the same actions over and over, convincing ourselves that this consistency is self-discipline, but in reality, it might just be familiarity or comfort that keeps us stuck in unproductive patterns. We tell ourselves that we're being disciplined, but what we're really doing is avoiding the discomfort of change. Musashi's teaching urges us to be fluid and flexible in our approach. Discipline doesn't mean being inflexible. It means being committed to our goals while remaining open to new methods and strategies. There is always more than one way to reach our destination, and part of true discipline is recognizing when it's time to adapt and try a different path. Today is victory over yourself of yesterday. Tomorrow is your victory over lesser men. Rather than seeing discipline as a way to compete with others, Musashi viewed it as a tool for self-improvement, a way to challenge yourself to be better than you were the day before. We often fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to others, measuring our success against external benchmarks. But Musashi reminds us that the real challenge lies within. The obstacles that most often hold us back aren't from outside, they come from within. It's our doubts, fears, and habits that can prevent us from reaching our goals. Discipline, then, becomes the means to overcome these internal barriers. We can think of discipline as a journey of continuous progress. Each day presents a new opportunity to refine your skills, to grow, and to take steps toward your goals. So we shouldn't be expecting to make drastic changes all at once, but we should aim for steady, deliberate improvement. While we may have external objectives like advancing in our careers or gaining recognition, what we're ultimately striving for is to become more aligned with our true selves. Musashi's approach to discipline focuses on these daily victories over our own limitations, and using discipline to become more of who we truly are. And through disciplined effort, we make progress, not just toward our goals, but becoming who we are meant to be.